been in this location for just over 2 years, and then I think we got the Alpha like just a month or two after we opened. 2 years tomorrow.
Something like that.
Yeah. I know, it's wild that time has flown by, and we still can't. Abe and I can't believe like we were the first people to do ARX in San Francisco, being such a tech-driven city.
Yeah.
So it really caught on quickly. So my name is Owen Dockham. I'm founder of Live Oak Strength in Emeryville, California. We've been in business since 2015. September 2015 is when I started working, kind of renting space from a mentor of mine, David DeSisto, and then literally a year after we opened our brick and mortar store in Emeryville, California, and a year later we moved into this current location here, where we've got the beautiful ARX Alpha behind me. And then 2 years ago today, or tomorrow, one of my good friends and business partner now, Abe Williams, and I opened up Everstrong SF downtown in the lower Haight, actually, of San Francisco. And we've got both the Omni and the Alpha there. So we see about 120 sessions, workouts a week at each location right now. Mixture of free weights, MedX, Nautilus, and then the ARX machines are really the spotlight of Everstrong. And people come because of the ARX. That's what we're known for there. Well, being that we're in San Francisco, rent's already high, and we got a 480 square foot facility, not too big, so ARX made sense from a logistics standpoint. Like, wow, we can't fit that much into this space. So it was pretty, that was an easy decision. However, we weren't familiar with ARX. We'd never used it before. We just heard about it through PaleoFX and you guys, and just making the rounds on the internet. But we're really glad we teamed up with Pat Yucaro, got his Omni up there, invested in the Alpha, and so we already had a little bit of a following, Abe and I, from training previously before teaming up. So one of the biggest hurdles was getting our existing clients to go for it. They're like, this is new. Everyone's so used to traditional weights or the super slow or MedX machines we've been doing. And some people fell in love with ARX right from the get-go. They were just super into it. They're like, oh my gosh, this is next level stuff. This is the logical next step from barbells to machines. Now this computerized resistance. Other people really hesitant, honestly, didn't like it. But as we got smarter and more familiar with the machines, we realized how versatile they are. For example, just switching the cadence. You could do 10-10. You could do 30-second negative and a 10-second concentric. You could skip the negative altogether and just drain that glycogen, having people do hard concentrics and really work on people with blood sugar regulation issues. So we've gotten wiser, we've got more familiar with it, and we've been able to kind of fine-tune the protocol to the individual as we've kind of evolved. I think that's been really cool. So I'll just speak between both companies, Everstrong SF and Live Oak Strength. We're working with 12-year-olds all the way up to 91-year-olds and everyone in between. And all of them use ARX safely. And when we started, we thought we might attract more athletic types and bodybuilders and just gym rats, but that has turned out not to be the case at all. We've really attracted people who don't like gym culture, are either intimidated by it or are self-conscious, just didn't like being watched, they want a more private environment. So it's been really awesome to get that group of people that just wouldn't exercise for whatever reason into a place like this, and they, not the people who are used to working out, but people who maybe not, they get to use the best equipment in the world. They're the ones that get to get on an ARX. And I love that because they're going from just baseline, maybe they've done some yoga or Pilates here and there, dabbled in things, but they get to come in and just totally hit the bullseye, get that stimulus perfect, and then they get to go and just do whatever they want and know that their muscles have been sufficiently stimulated for the whole week, and go learn another skill, like something more interesting than exercise, like go learn an instrument or hike or bike with your kids and spend time, because time is finite. So I think that's we've attracted people who get that. The time's not refundable, so they should be spending it wisely, doing things that are more interesting than exercise, or living in a gym 5-6 days a week. Yeah.
Well, challenge.
So, yeah, it's interesting. You can, two different business models really with Everstrong and two business models around the ARX. So at Everstrong SF, smaller studio. Our new location is 850 square feet, something like that. We've got about 10 pieces of MedX, and then the Alpha, the Omni, a Carol bike, and a power plate. And it's really the heart and soul, the ARX of our business model there. People come there for us. They Google or search ARX, and we come up. And it's, we really are interested these days in doing fiber type testing with the ARX, seeing how long people take to fatigue in certain movements. And that's been really helpful, taking that information and deciding what kind of rep range or time of retention range on other machines might best suit those clients. And so that's been really valuable. Here at Live Oak, we've put the ARX kind of into our proven process and our method. So a new client will come to us, we'll put them on the ARX and have them do a leg press, chest press in a row. Usually just a static for about a minute, maybe 40 seconds, maybe a little longer. And they might not touch the ARX again for 12 workouts, just because we want to get them acquainted with a variety of other movements. Maybe we'll throw them on there. It really depends on the client. And to show them that visual graph of how they've improved on all that stuff without even working out on this, and then we can incorporate the workouts on the ARX. And it's just kind of a cool visual check-in every 12 weeks, and that's part of our process. Check in what's most important to you: bone mineral density, strength, functional ability, body composition. Okay, what's the most dreaded movement? What movements do you like? How's the overall intensity of your workouts going forward? What do you want to change? What are we doing well? And then we use this, and we can show them that the decisions we're making as a team, the trainer-client relationship, are working for them or they're not. I love that. We don't have to prove anything. We can show them day to day. And if they have a poor night's sleep before their check-in, we'll just do the check-in the next week. We can just teach them, strength's never a linear process from one workout to the next. We want to look at the big picture. Are they adopting the strength training lifestyle, and is the overall theme of their health improving? Are they moving that needle in the right direction? So I think that's so valuable, having the graph and just the tracking, and being able to send report cards now, like a graph via email to our clients and tell them, you bragging rights, this quarter you gained 60% strength in your legs. Congrats, go show off to your friends and tell them it only took you 20 minutes once a week to do that. All of our trainers have been really excited about it. Honestly, they're like, wow, this is next level is the word they all use. But yeah, it hasn't been a problem. And they're like, they get excited about what we get excited about. So we've shared the versatility with them, and given them control to get creative with protocols based on the individual, which is, we want to train individuals, not averages. So, if we notice they have a really hard time going smoothly, I still love super slow. I love a 10-10 cadence. And if I have clients that I think could benefit from that, but they have trouble, we'll put them on the ARX, set it to 10-10 to teach them what it feels like to move from here to here in 10 seconds. And then I'll notice when they do that regularly on ARX, bringing them back out to MedX or whatever movement, they've got more, those neurological pathways have been built, and they just have better, whatever it is, better control over the movements. So, yeah. I think the big appeal is square footage.
Yeah.
That is so huge. You can offer a full service, a huge exercise menu, a variety of movements in 200 or less square feet comfortably, and charge a premium because you're using this amazing technology, and it's a boutique service, and it's private and very cutting edge. I think you can't do that with old equipment. this is new. It looks different. People come in, they see it, and they're like, this doesn't look like anything else I've ever seen. So, sorry, I don't know if that's a great answer, but I think that's definitely like a huge appeal for anyone who might be starting out and not have a lot of funds, and opening a 2,000, 3,000 square foot facility is out of the picture when you're getting going. There's an option, an easier option to get started, get your foot in the door, and then grow to either a bigger location or a multitude of smaller locations. It's the client stories. I'll just share the ones that are at top of mind from people who came in this morning and trained. We have a 74-year-old who had a heart attack, unfortunately, earlier this year, but her recovery was almost instant. I mean, after I think she had a quadruple bypass surgery, and 3 weeks later, she's up walking on her own, and the doctors are like, how are you doing this? Like, what is going on? You're walking, you have the strength to walk. And she attributes it to the ARX and just high intensity training once a week, sometimes twice a week. Another woman who just 4 months ago she was beyond pre-diabetic. I think her resting glucose was over 130 or something. Started training with Lucy once a week, strength training. Started adopting a different diet, more ketogenic. Carol twice a week, and her resting glucose levels were, Lucy, what, you there? I think they were like 88. Yeah. She told me it was 88, and for like under 100 for the first time like in 10 years. So that's a game changer. And then people with degenerative issues just being able to not use their cane and walk without pain and just feel their muscles for the first time in years. I love that. I'm not really interested in the people who are crazy buff and already athletic. I think they should all be training smarter and wiser and just practicing the skills that they're trying to be competitive in. But it's really everyday people, the busy CEOs, the small business owners that just maybe feel really guilty that they're not working out 5-6 days a week, but then they discover us and then they feel better, and then they're like, oh, I can get rid of this guilt that carries me around all the time for being what I think is a piece of shit, for not being like on top of my physical fitness and living in the gym. That goes away. So many other possibilities open up for that person. They're like, oh wow, I have time to like grow my business or treat my employees differently and pick up a new hobby. That's way more interesting to me. I love that. I love those stories.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then myself too, I've dealt with a lot of health issues and back pain in my life, and figuring out the variety on the ARX has really helped. Like, I think, as McGuff would say, with the anti-inflammatory properties of the myokines and just deeply fatiguing the skeletal muscles over and over again, and doing really like drawn out 20-30 second negatives for me on the ARX has completely reduced pain in my body. Like, it's the only thing I've changed. And I just feel so much more limber in my spine and my hamstrings after just doing these max effort negatives. And I've experimented with these really long repetitions with some of my clients, and all the results have been incredibly positive for them as far as pain reduction and mobility and strength and you name it, everything. Just if you want to be ahead of the game, this is like the logical step, because it'll just separate you. There's 20, 25 something other fitness facilities, boutique and big box gyms within like a 2-mile radius between my home and this facility, and nobody else does what we do, and we're thriving.